welcome back. Glad you're still with us. This is Your World, and today it's all about compulsive sexual behavior, or if you like, hypersexuality, or for some people, sex addiction. And of course, the question that we're asking you today is, do you consider hypersexuality a disorder? Once again, do you consider hypersexuality as a disorder? Feel free to interact with us, and we look forward to hear what you have to say. But we also, did a poll, and we asked you as well, do you consider hypersexuality a disorder? And 56.1% of you said absolutely yes, and 43.9% are saying no. So for those of you who are saying no, tell us why. Or for those of you who also say yes, tell us why, and we'll be sampling that. Remember, you have 55 minutes left to vote and say, and tell us rather, whether you consider hypersexuality a disorder. As of now, it is 56.1%, those ones who say yes, and 43.9% who say no. So let's hear what you have to say as far as the question that we asked you. And that is, do you consider hypersexuality a disorder? And someone says it is not a disorder, it is a habit. All right, it's not a disorder, it is a habit. All right, and then someone else says, do you equal a negative effects? Yes, although I am open to other point of view statements. All right. And then someone else says, in simple times, it is just lust. All right. This person continues to say science name trying to make it sound like just a disorder when it is sin that separates many from their creator. Says, run to Jesus with a genuine heart and you'll be free. All right. And then someone else says, it is a sign of demonic attack. It is a serious thing, but the blood of Jesus can break those chains. All right. This is Ngumu Ezekiel. And then Peter Boli says, I was exactly that way 3 weeks ago, but God minani. All right, Peter, would want to hear your story. Please tweet in or just call in and tell us more. And then Okoth Wood Okech says, glory to God for delivering me from that chain of slavery. Would want to hear more. Feel free to share if you can. And then Moses El Karani says, no, it is a state of mind that can be controlled in different ways. For example, men engage in physical activities, right, diet, and positive thoughts. All right. And then, yeah, so that is what Moses says as far as hypersexuality is concerned. And of course, we'll be sampling more of your feedback as we continue with the discussion. But again, remember the question that we're asking is, do you consider hypersexuality a disorder? Keep tweeting at NTV Kenya at Lubembe_Winnie. For those ones who are saying no, tell us why. Why do you think that hypersexuality is not a disorder? And for those of you, again, who say yes, it is a disorder, again, feel free to expound more and tell us why you feel it is a disorder. And of course, to continue with the discussion, we still have Dr. Joachim Osul, who is a sexologist, and Catherine Bao, who is a psychotherapist, just helping us understand more as far as hypersexuality is concerned. If you want to speak to any of them, again, we give you a chance. The numbers are down on your screen. Give us a call. You don't really have to say your name because we understand the stigma that comes with the same, and we'll address that stigma in just a moment. And just share, your story, or just tell them or ask the question that you have. And of course, we'll try as much as possible to answer all of them as far as hypersexuality is concerned. Dr. Joachim and Catherine as well, do you want to respond to or to react rather to the feedback that we got? There's some people who are saying, listen, it is not a disorder. In fact, it is a disability. All right, Dr. Joachim, what do you make of that?
Yeah, very interesting. I think two things. One is that the definition is difficult. And as we said from the beginning, sex desire was never meant to be abnormal. And in fact, you are abnormal if you have no sex desire.
At all. Yeah.
But I think the definition of then what is hypersexuality? What is this beyond the normal desire? How does it present? I think people are having difficulty with that because people can't understand how suddenly the desire is so much that it can be disruptive to your life and you can't control it. And actually, that's the definition. Yeah. It is so disruptive. You are thinking of sex all the time. You are fantasizing sex all the time. you're using a lot of resources to actualize those fantasies, and you feel you don't want it. You can't control it. You're helpless. And I think that is what people don't understand. And so they are saying, hawa ni watu wenye mademons and so on. It also depends on how you are socialized. I think the other thing is really just personal values, which are really diverse when it comes to sex. And so we tend to judge. And this is one reason why most people with sex problems will not even come out because they fear being judged. So I would say I understand when almost 50-50% there is that division. People are saying this is not normal. Others are saying this is very normal. Why do you allow it to happen? It's those two things.
All right. And then, Catherine, as well, do you want to react to the same? Because, again, we've seen, I think, 2 people who said, I was struggling with this about 3 weeks ago and God delivered me. What do you have to say to the same?
So, if it's normal or it's a disability, it's a learned behavior, there are many definitions to it. But sex desire in itself, it's healthy. The preoccupation with it is what is not healthy. And if it impairs you, for the one who prayed and they got healing, it means that their spirituality became their source of regulation. So they got something else that I think in addiction we say in AA that restored them to normalcy. They realized they couldn't deal with it. They prayed about it and they felt comfort in knowing that prayer works for them. And this is for people who have that belief system. And our belief systems are different. So in the part of, is it normal to have hyperactivity or hypersexuality, or is the person in control? That's where the bone of contention is. So for someone who's not had serious of complex trauma and attachment trauma, and it's not repeated, because this one was last week. So it's not someone who's been in it for a long period in their life. The one who has learned it for long, yes, someone said it's a learned behavior. It is a reward system. So they need time to get over it and find out what it does for them. So this one found prayer. Someone else finds exercises as the thing that sorts them out. So, but at the end of the day, if it impairs the person, it's still something of concern.
All right.
Whether it's a disorder yet, in the psychological world, we are still debating about it, but HWO does deem it as a disorder.
All right. And also, and especially for the person who said, hey, I was struggling with this for, in the last 3 weeks, is it so easy to come out of it? And I know we'll talk about the treatment options a little bit later. I think that is one of the things that you would want to address, and that is it easy to come out of it? Because there's some people who said, I just prayed, and again, I was able to come out of it. But like you said, again, their spirituality is what gave them, for instance, the strength to come out of it. But then again, that question of how then does it manifest itself differently, let's say in men and in women, because we've had a lot of discussions around just sex in general, and there's a lot of people who say men think about it more, like men are more sexual as compared to women. So Dr. Osur, being a sexologist, I'm really, really curious to find out cases of hypersexuality. Does it present, is it different when it comes to its presentation or characteristics when it comes to men and women?
Is the same. It is basically the same. I think, well, naturally, men are supposed to think more about sex because of the testosterone that men have. It is a little higher than the testosterone that women have. This is what causes men to think more about sex and to be the initiators of sexual relationships and also of intimate moments. But when it comes to hypersexuality, the drive, the thoughts, the inability to control them, and the behaviors that result and the harm is all the same between men and women. and nobody's spared of the those difficult issues they have to deal with.
All right. And then, so how do you know? For example, maybe couples are watching us right now and thinking, by the way, how do I know that, let's say, my partner, for example, has like compulsive sexual behavior? Can we just go through it? I know we mentioned it a little bit during the first phase of the show, but can we just go through it in terms of helping people understand these are some of the symptoms to watch out for, and this tells you if this person has compulsive sexual behavior or they just have a higher sex drive?
Yeah, there are two scenarios when it comes to partners living together in marriage or as close sexual associates. Sometimes it is the unaffected partner who comes to see me.
All right, Dr. Joachim, Catherine. Okay, all right. Dr. Do we have you back?
And they are on with their partner. You can hear me?
Yes. Yes, we can hear you now.
All right, sorry for that. So sometimes it is the normal of the two who comes for consultation. And they're saying, look, I had sex with this man, and then I realized he left the bed and went to masturbate. And I realized he's doing this again and again. Or there are cases where I've had cases where this man has like 4 or 5 women, relationships all going on, sex every day with all of them. And then the wife gets to discover this and says, this is not normal, can we sort it? And the guy is actually genuinely trying to sort it, but again and again he's falling back. And so you find it is the wife who may come and say, I think there is something not normal with this person.
Okay.
Because many times, because of the gratification one gets from it, the result of the pressure being relieved by doing it, sometimes they don't want to come and be treated because they're getting some relief of a hurtful thing from it.
Okay.
So that is one scenario. The other scenario is where, especially in middle age, because our bodies wear out, you cannot cope with this level of activity all the time. And so sometimes people present with sexual dysfunction, other sexual dysfunctions. They are unable to have an erection, or they're having painful sex. If it's a woman, they're doing it again and again and again. The body, the physical body is wearing out, and they're unable to manage the level of activity that the body is pushing them to do. So when we take history and do a lot of examinations, then we realize the failure of the body is resulting from too much activity that the body is not coping with. Sometimes early in life, they're able to really do it and manage, but as time goes, they are unable. And so they are coming with these other dysfunctions. And you might find for the first time in their late 30s, in 40s, people being diagnosed with hypersexuality, which has been there all along. But because now they are unable to cope, they are coming to treat the erectile dysfunction or the sexual pain that they are having. And sometimes they have been swallowing a lot of the blue pill to cope the pressure, to maintain an erection. And it is failing again and things like that. So there are many ways of presentation. It could be the partner, it could be the person themselves.
All right. I have a question, Dr. Terry, in terms of, like he said, in an intimate relationship, right? This person does not feel satisfied, goes to the bathroom, completes the act, and then comes back. But then again, where then do you draw the line? Because if you ask a lot of women, and even some men, they'll tell you sometimes it's difficult to get there, right? So that my partner is not satisfying me the way I want. So in order to not make them feel bad, I will just go to the bathroom, complete the act, and then come back, right? So then where do you draw the line? Because there's some people who are like, yeah, this is normal. It happens like almost all the time, or in maybe almost all relationships.
Yeah, definitely there are cases where you have a discordance in sexual desire, where one partner wants more sex than the other. That happens. And it's very common also. Someone wants to have sex twice a week, another one wants to have sex once a month. And so the one who wants may want to look for other ways of satisfying that need. But that is different. That's different. In hypersexuality, they can even have satisfactory sex with their partners, but
still
the urge doesn't go. They continue, they want more. And they do, in addition to the satisfactory sexual partner with the wife or the husband, they have had their orgasm or they have had their ejaculation, they still feel something. They want to do more a few minutes after or a few hours after. And because one partner cannot cope with some of these excessive desire, they resort to these other means of relieving it, either through another partner, through masturbation, or a combination of all these things. And the thing here, as we said earlier, and Kathy repeated that, is that
all right, Dr.
I
Osuru.
can't.
Okay, you're back.
I don't want it, but it keeps happening again and again, and I feel tired. I don't want it, but when the urge is there, I have to do it. That is where the difference is. That is function in being able to manage your own desire, so that you're always a victim of the desire and a victim of the sexual act. It's like enslaving you. It's enslaving in the mind and in the body, because you don't want it, but you have to do it to get some relief, and then you feel bad about it.
Okay. And that is just sad. Like, it's just so sad, because you really want it, you have no control over it, but you end up feeling bad instead of feeling good, for example, after fulfilling that desire. So we'll also talk about how then does this impact, let's say, a relationship, or even as a person, really the impact that hypersexuality will have on a person in just a moment. That is on this, the last phase of the show. And when then do you see a doctor as far as, hypersexuality is concerned? But then again, so for women, I would say, and Catherine, I would ask you this, because again, Dr. Sur pointed out something that partners are very different. There's some who have like a higher sexual drive as compared to the others, but I'm pretty sure you've had a lot of women say, yeah, my partner, there's a way that they do not, satisfy me. So they would also find other ways of trying to satisfy themselves. So what does it look like, especially in a woman?
The hypersexuality.
Yeah, and the fact
so,
that... Go ahead.
With differentiation is with the frequency per day. So there's those ones who have high sex drive, which is a healthy one, and has no reason, and a couple can work out their differences in ways that are amicable and are not emotionally distressful to each other. But with the frequency of how much time they need to have their sexual needs satisfied is where now we term hyperarousal and hypersexuality. So if it's, I think the one that deems it is 5 times to 6 times or more in a day. So here's someone who has had sexual encounters in a day, like I've had 5 or more. And there are others who have medical conditions where they can't regulate their orgasm and everything, and that's medical. So that needs to be checked into, which falls under sexual dysfunctions. But when it comes to the compulsive sexual behavior, is the frequency that the person desires to have sex. But it's not with the high sexual drive, because the high sexual drive doesn't mean that they're constantly on it. Just like, and they're in control. But when they feel they have no control over their desire, that they can't wait and plan for it, then it becomes an impairment.
Okay. All right. Just in case someone is watching us and thinking, but Well, maybe I think I have a higher sex drive as compared to compulsive sexual behavior. Or someone might actually have compulsive sexual behavior and thinking, listen, this is normal. I have like a higher sex drive. Just to make it very easy for people to understand, when we say a sexual or higher sex drive, is it the number of times? Again, is it more of a frequency, or is it the fact that you have control? Doesn't matter how many times you do it in a day.
Ask me again.
When it comes to higher sex drive and compulsive sexual behavior, probably there's someone who's watching us and thinking, I have a higher sexual drive. It is not compulsive sexual behavior. Or maybe they have compulsive sexual behavior. It's just that then they think that they have a higher sex drive. So then how do you differentiate the two to make it clear for people to understand? Is it more on the frequency or the fact that one has control as compared to the other?
So when do they draw the line? Do I have a high sex drive,
Yes.
or do I have hypersexuality?
Yeah.
Where do I draw the line? So where you draw the line is, what does it make you get impaired? Is it affecting your relationship? Do you feel like you're gonna die if you don't have it? Are you in control of it? Because as a healthy sex drive is knowing, yes, I have a healthy one, and my husband is not satisfying me, or my wife is not satisfying me, and talking it out. And you'll go to someone else, but you won't go, it's not a daily thing. It's not a preoccupation when am I gonna get my next fix?
Yes.
It's a normal desire that I feel, yeah, I can plan around this. It's not, I can't survive without it. I need it like yesterday. But with a high sex drive is knowing that I'm a sexual being, and it's okay for me to be sexual and desire sex. And if I can't have it, it's okay. I can make time to when I can have it. Let me give an example with cake. So a slice of cake is good, but having the whole cake, as much as I desire to have a cake, having the whole cake, is it good for me?
Maybe I have control?
Yeah?
Maybe I have a huge appetite. I can finish a whole cake.
Yes, you're finishing a whole cake, but is it good for you? Are you finishing the whole cake because you feel you have control and you have chosen? Or are you finishing the whole cake because you can't help? The cake is there and you need to finish it up.
Yeah. I see that. I see that. Even
So
like,
with,
yeah. I was saying, oh, Kate, we can't hear you. All right, Kate, even as Kate sorts that out, Dr. do you want to chime into that as far as control and how much control you can have as far as a higher sex drive is concerned?
Well, yeah, I think high sex drive is different from hypersexuality.
Yeah.
There are few things I would take as pointers to hypersexuality or sex addiction. Number one is, are you proud of the sexual act that you just had? Do you feel good that you had it? Number two, other than the physical act, are you emotionally connected to the person that you're having sex with? So that it goes beyond just a physical act. Number three, after that sexual encounter, how do you feel? Do you feel empty? Do you feel helpless? Do you feel guilty? Do you feel shame? And you know, we talked about religion and religious people and how people pray and they get out of it. Do you feel that you need to pray to get out of this sexual situation? That you are continuously praying for God to help you get out of it? It means there is a problem. And also, there are personal values that people, you know, there are things you believe in as a person. Are you able marry your sexual behavior with your values and make choices and say, I am choosing this because this is what I want, because this is good for me. I'm proud of.
All right. All right. Kate. Kate, are you back? With our cake analogy. Kate? All right, Kate, we can't still hear you. All right. Okay. Can we take a break as we sort Kate's connection together with Dr. Orsura? And of course, when we come back, we'll also be looking at your feedback as far as hypersexuality or compulsive sexual behavior is concerned, and also we'll also look at the impact that it has on either a person or a relationship. Really, what impact does it have, and especially if it is not treated either on time or it is not treated at all? What impact does it have on a person or a relationship? So you do not want to miss that part of the conversation. Stay with us. This is Your World. We'll see you right after.